like and subscribe. Now let's get straight into this toxic mess. My mother made all her kids go to church from day one. And we would have to go to church until we graduated from high school. Now let's get into the facts. When I started going to church, and I remembered the pastor, the female pastor of our church was called Chief Overseer. It didn't ring a bell to me at that time. I grew up and she was the Chief Overseer. I don't think it was till Roots came out till I realized what an overseer was. And then they started calling her pastor. But before then, it was Chief Overseer. And our church was not involved in the civil rights movement. Although my grandmother had a picture of Martin Luther King right next to that white Jesus behind the couch in her living room facing the TV. Martin Luther King next to that white Jesus. And you know, in our church, there was a song we sung, which is nothing now that everything clicks in. The lyrics to the song was, I got shoes, you got shoes. When we get to heaven, we're going to put on our shoes and walk all over God's heaven. Good grief. If that isn't a slave master song, I don't know what is. And our church was a matriarchal church. I think I can vaguely remember the chief overseer getting married a couple times. I'm not sure, but whoever she married, he was going to be a beta male or a simp. So I'm going to say this: a lot of black Christians, like it or not, we were raised in the slave master's church, especially if you come up from Mississippi. And my mother was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. So I guess the church was there. And there used to be a little white boy behind the piano, tapping on the piano and patting his feet. That was Elvis Presley. He's from Tupelo, Mississippi. Church has got some kind. He was a little poor kid. Church has some memories. Our church, I think the proudest moment for the church was when it went on the National Registry as a historic landmark. It was a historic landmark, which means, you know, you couldn't sell it or anything like that. But I think about a year or so, we heard about Cleveland Clinic moving in downtown in that area of Cleveland. And magically, the church burnt down. Magically, the church burnt down. Now where that church used to stand is Cleveland Clinic. You know, when after a certain age, I left the church because it just, I left the church as soon as I could because nothing in there made sense to me. Nothing. Studied different religions, looking for truth. Looking not for God, I looked for truth. And then God recognized me. Me and my mother, we had little religious debates here and there. But when she went into the nursing home, I asked her, had she ever read Deuteronomy 28? Well, she done read the whole Bible, I don't know how many times, so the question was rhetorical. And she said, yes. I said, then you know that the people that were enslaved and sent all over the world, we were those people. We are Hebrew Israelites. We are God's chosen people. She didn't say anything. I think it was a couple of days later when I went to visit her. The nurse came in giving her, as they do all elderly people, giving them these little psychological tests or whatever. So anyway, she asked my mother a couple of easy questions. Then she asked my mother, was she a Christian? And my mother answered no. Vehemently, she answered no. She finally accepted the fact. After 92 years of being a Christian, a week and a half before she died, she recognized herself to be a Jew in accordance with the Bible. And the problem that we as African Americans are suffering from is the fact that we won't grow up. We are still, too many of us are stuck in the past in those plantation owners, slave churches with that mentality. Deuteronomy 28 is clear as to who is and who is not God's chosen people. Revelations 2:9 and 3:9 are clear as to who belongs to the synagogue of Satan. It's clear. Now, the Bible was written many, many years ago. So obviously, this is something that Jesus, whose real name is Yashua, foresaw. Jesus foresaw this. And he also asked us to follow the Ten Commandments. But he foresaw this. Slowly but surely, African Americans are waking up to the fact that we are Hebrew Israelites. You know, the truth is a seed. As Jesus explained in the scriptures about the sower and the sow. Some seeds will fall on fertile ground. Some seeds will fall under the thorn bushes. Some seeds will fall in sand. All seeds will not germinate. But it is up to the individual to search for truth. And if you search for truth, then you do not have to be the smartest person in the world, but you have to be second to none when it comes to recognizing common sense and thinking logically. Or should I say, read Deuteronomy 28 and understand what you're reading. And don't be misguided by what you hear on TV and by these I don't know what they call them, prophet preachers or whatever. Their main goal is to make money and teach you how to manifest money in your lives. And when I say common sense, I want you to understand this. What does the Bible say about a rich man? What does the Bible say about a rich man? And think of what Jesus, Yashua, would say about a person who makes a man rich. The person, if the Bible tells you that a rich man has as much chance of getting into heaven as the camel passing through the eye of a needle, and you are making this man rich, what does common sense tell you? But the fact of the matter is this. Dig into the history of your church. Find out where it started. And if it started on a plantation, then you got to get out of here. You have got to get out of there, because this is the den of Satan. And the Bible teaches us that we are Hebrew Israelites. The Bible is our history, but we are Hebrew Israelites. And we must study and find the books and things that our people learned from and wrote and studied. But it all begins with truth. And to tell you what they studied, it's called Hermetic philosophy, after Hermes, who was a black Egyptian, and his real name was Thoth. Just like they changed Yashua's name to Jesus, they changed Thoth's name to Hermes. And then they called his teachings Hermetic philosophy. But really, it is Kemetic philosophy. And one of the names from it is Kemetic mystery system, and it was passed down through mouths. It was passed down through mouths, and is in the Kabbalion. Some of it is in the Kabbalah. All of these books are from the Kemetic mystery system. That is where our mothers and fathers obtain their spiritual intelligence and integrity from. That's where they got it from. The Bible is our history. I'm not saying do not study the Bible. Study the Bible, but understand it is our history. But to really get into the teachings, you have to study the New Testament. And you have to study them thoroughly, because the message is passed on to us through Jesus. Through Jesus. And when you read the words of Jesus, understand that Jesus talked to the multitude in parables. He talked to the disciples specifically, and he explained everything to the disciples. Now, you should be able to recognize a parable from something that is factual. And when Jesus said in Revelations 2:9 and 3:9 that the people in Israel worship in the synagogue of Satan, that was not a parable, that was fact. But understand this, you will have to wash your minds of Christianity, because Christianity only teaches a slave mentality. You know this and I know this. If I were to ask any one of you if Christianity was used to enslave us, you will answer yes. If I were to ask you, did the Romans kill Jesus, torture and murder Jesus, you would say yes. If I asked you if the Romans started Christianity, you will say yes. And who was an accomplice in the enslavement of Hebrew Israelites? It was the people that are Jewish. Jewish. Ish meaning alike. Ish meaning alike. You see, in order for Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jews to convert and call themselves Jews, they had to invent Jewish to mean Jew-like. And as any story grows, as it goes down history, as the man who caught the fish that was this size. Later on, the fish gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes a total lie. And now, all of a sudden, people that were Jewish, all of a sudden, they have become Jews, and we've become Black Christians, African Americans. But understand this, the people who exploited and colonized indigenous people were Judeo-Christians. Judeo-Christians. There was a connection between Jews and Christians. But the real connection is that they were Caucasians. They were Caucasians. And those that wanted to be thought of as more became Jewish. Jewish, meaning to be Jew-like. We are Jews. Jews is of the blood. It is not a religion. The Bible is our history and our teachings, which have been usurped. So, like and describe. Have a nice day. Some people say, my subscribers say, try to tell me how to have this, how to have more and more followers. Understand this. When it comes to the sower and the seed, my job is to drop seeds. Whether they land on fertile ground or not, I cannot control. So I'm not going to try to decorate my channel to get more subscribers. And another way to put it is, I lead people to the spiritual waters. I do not insist that they drink. When they become thirsty, then they know where the water is. And they become the seed. And my words become the truth that they understand. With that, like and describe. Have a great day. God blesses all. Or should I say, Yahweh blesses us all.